In this video, I thought I'd do a quick follow-up to the video that I did on the levels of martial arts, where I illustrated this with a pyramid and showed that the highest level in the martial arts pyramid is about confidence, it's about body posture, it's about being in great physical condition. And the reason why I wanted to mention this and do a follow-up to this video is because for me personally, I've noticed a change over the years as well. So when I first started doing martial arts, I would have been down near the bottom of the pyramid. And as I started training, and it takes years of martial arts training to get in really, really good shape, I moved up to the top of that pyramid, up to the highest level of the martial arts pyramid, where my appearance alone was enough that people didn't want to test me. I mean, I've got a few pictures here that I put in a thumbnail image. One of them, a little bit of a cheesy pose down there. But I was really happy with the way that I looked back in those days. I was confident and I was healthy and I was in great shape. I was never a person that enjoyed going to the gym. I was not a weightlifter, so I never got into weightlifting, anything like that. Everything that you see in the pictures there was from doing regular Taekwondo and Hapki-Do, jogging, cycling, and then occasionally swimming as well. So depending on the time of year and what was available to me, that was basically my workout routine. And with that workout routine, I was able to look like that. And I always say it kind of almost like a BMW, kind of flies under the radar a little bit, in that I'm in really, really good shape. And when you look at me, you can see that I was in really, really good shape back in those days. These are all taken when I was in my 20s. But what you don't see is the tremendous stamina that I had. A lot of strength, a lot of speed, tremendous amount of stamina, where I could go through an hour and a half cardio class where we're doing the kicks and everything else, no problem. I'd be finished the class and it wouldn't be an issue. And everybody else would be dropping out at some point, would have to stop, and I'd be able to just plow right on through with no problem. I mean, I'd feel it the next day. I mean, I'd feel all my muscles burning and everything would be, stiff and sore the next day. But to be able to get through even the most rigorous classes in Taekwondo, and do it at a high level and do it at the black belt level, you get into incredible physical shape. And in many ways, like, you almost fly under the radar. If I would have put in weightlifting on top of that as well, then I think, I would have had an incredible physique back then. But I didn't want to get into weightlifting because, first of all, it doesn't interest me. I never found weightlifting to be interesting. And I didn't want to get big. Like, I didn't want to get large, because when you start putting on muscle, right away you start losing stamina. So yes, you're adding some additional power, a little bit more power on top, but you're losing a tremendous amount of speed and you're losing a tremendous amount of stamina. You're sort of giving up everything else just to get large and have the muscles. And I was absolutely happy with the way that I looked and the condition that I was in, because I could do, any sport or any activity that I wanted to do with no problem. I was in great shape. And for the better part of 20 years, again, I don't want to brag or boast, but for the better part of 20 years, when I looked like that, nobody wanted to test me. So I was able to go for basically my entire prime, my 20s and my 30s, without having anybody want to get into a confrontation with me. So that's the highest level, as I indicated before, in that martial arts pyramid. Confidence, body posture, your physical conditioning. You can ward off 99% of all potential conflicts just by being in great shape, because people can see it. And when you look like that, what I showed earlier, anybody who might have had an issue with you, or anybody who wanted to start getting into an argument with you, or wanted to try and speak up or say something or try and test you, they look at you and they say, it's not worth it. Like, look at that guy. He's in great shape. He looks like he knows how to handle himself. I'm just going to keep my thoughts to myself and not get into it with him. Getting into an argument, trying to get into a fight or escalate things with this guy, not a good idea. And so, like I said, for the better part of 20 years, my 20s and 30s, nobody ever tested me. There was never a situation where somebody wanted to get into a fight with me. And looking back at it now, because I'm not in the same shape that I used to be back then, what's happened is, with age, I've started to move back down the pyramid again, because now that I'm not in great physical shape anymore, people look at me, and now people are starting to take liberties with me that they didn't take when I was in my 20s and 30s. So what I'm noticing now is people aren't afraid to mouth off to me. People aren't afraid to want to challenge me to a fight. I've had just an incredible, in the last couple of years, I've had an incredible number of incidents where, whether through road rage or whatever it is, people wanting to pick fights and wanting to get into altercations. And I mentioned that in 2022, so now 2 years ago, there were 2 fights that I got into. So a fight that occurred in a restaurant and a fight that occurred on the roadside, where both times, one of them, road rage, guy jumped out of his car and came at me. And situation in the restaurant where the guy popped up from his table after we had a bit of an argument and came at me. And those were 2 confrontations that I believe never would have happened. If you go back 10 or 15 years, when I'm in my 20s or 30s, neither of those conflicts happens, because that guy pops up from his table and gets face to face with me, and I'm this person here. He turns around, he sits back down at his table, and that's the end of the discussion. There's nothing further happening from that. The road rage guy that came at me, the moment I step out of my car and he sees this guy step out of the car, then it's like, okay, easy, like, I've made a mistake. Maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't be, trying to start something with this person here. So what I've noticed in the last few years, because of my condition, and I've had some recent issues in light of my dad passing away. He died of a heart attack last fall, and I'm also being checked and tested to see if I have similar conditions or similar genetic condition that he had. So there are certain things that I'm able to do physically and certain things that I'm not able to do physically right now, just to be on the safe side, per doctor's instructions. And so I'm looking into both what I can do to stay in shape, but also not to put myself at risk for a heart attack as well. So I know my physical conditioning is not what it used to be when I was up here. It has diminished somewhat. And that's the reason why I'm making these videos here, because I've noticed the difference in my life personally. Because I can say that I was up here once upon a time at the top, and now I'm sliding down that pyramid, and I'm noticing that all of a sudden everybody seems to be a lot more brave, a lot more brazen with the way that they speak to me. a lot more disrespectful. They're doing things they would have never done when I was in my 20s and 30s. So that's why you need to be up here and why you need to be in great physical condition. So that's all I have for today. Till next time, thanks for watching.